always say that the first time I met Tom was in the Royal Ballroom in Castlebar in the early 70s, early to mid 70s, and it was a local lad. He's listening into us, I'm sure, today. Martin Regan there in Killaden in Kelchamaw. He was from Kelchamaw, where I went to school, and it was Martin that first introduced me to Big Tom. He was a huge fan of Big Tom's, and we just became, like, even going to national school, I probably had an interest in all of that and radio, and the sponsor programs used to be a big thing
On
at the time
RT1.
on RT1, and Larry Gogan did a lot. Tom's quite a few of them, and I always said when I started going to dance, definitely Big Tom would be among the first, and I got to know them very, very quick. And I was working in the bank then shortly after that. I was down in the Midlands. Well, I was in Atlow, but I was down Abbey Leaks actually at the time. And I remember then Tom had left to form the mainliner, left the mainliners to form the Travellers. And I remember in 1975, it was in Dreamland at High, their very first night. I was there that night with them, and we just had the greatest of friendship. And I actually wrote a few verses for their theme song that time, which was Travel On. It was based on the old the other song, but anyway, we did that, and The Girl with the Lovely Brown Eyes followed up, and so many others. And just, I actually, after leaving the bank, of course, I went to Castleblaney. I spent about 8 months in Blaney with Tony Lockman's group there, the Top Ranked magazine, and I was in charge of that actually and I stayed up there. And I'd be out at McBride's house a lot, and it wasn't I was any good at fishing, and indeed I don't think I even fished, but I went out fishing with him to the lakes in South Armagh there.
One of Tom's great pastimes.
It was, yeah, and that was the time like of the troubles up there, and I used to be absolutely terrified even going across the fields, borders to the lake. But it was a great friendship, and he never knew that. He was such a modest man, like. You just,
it is fair to say
there's nobody ever like him. There never will be another Big Tom. As simple as that. He was totally unique. I mean, you can sense it everywhere today. It's palpable, the sadness in the whole country.
It is, yeah. It is. Yeah. It's like a black plume has descended over the country.
I was just out there. My phone crashed, Jerry, as you know. A lot of people have been probably wondering why I'm not answering. The whole thing went down today, and it's just crashed completely with messages, texts, and everything. So nobody can get through to me at the moment. But young John Lennon out there in Bacon is working on it at the moment for me. But even John was saying he's a totally different generation. He says, sure, everybody knows Big Tom. He says every family, and that was it. Like he was like another member of all our families.
Will you tell me, what was it about him? Because your friendship goes back 40 years, but not alone Tom, but with Rose, poor old Rose, who passed away only a few weeks ago as well. What was it in your estimation about Tom that set him apart?
Tom's unassuming modesty, certainly. And he never placed himself above anybody. Never. Everybody, no matter what your station in life, you're always on the same level with Big Tom. There's no looking up to Tom that way. People loved the man, but they always felt comfortable and at ease in his company. And wherever Tom went into a room, he had a presence. He had a wonderful presence and a lovely quality about him that is so lacking in humanity nowadays, to be honest with you.
Did he realise, Michael, that he was as big a star as he was himself?
I don't know that I don't think so, because I've quoted a few times what Rose said to me about 7 or 8 years ago in Bundoran one day, and it was summertime. They were doing a three night weekender there, and it was June, July, and Tom on the Sunday evening, the crowd had queued up and they were outside the hotel around 6, 7 in the evening, and they were on the first floor looking down. And Rose said to me afterwards, she said, I said to Tom, she said, oh no, Tom said to her, I can't believe these people are still queuing up to see me after 50 years or so. And Rose just said to me, she said, isn't it great to have it and not know you have it? And there's great philosophy in that. It was brilliant. Yeah. It was because it probably summed up everything about Big Tom. Those that know they have it sometimes lose it very fast. But for Tom, it was just, his outreach was amazing.
Young and old.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there 2 years ago when he came on the Late Late Show, it was as if all the big stars were there, but there was only one superstar, and it was just waiting for him to walk through that door that night, and the whole place erupted, standing ovation.
Tell me, did the latter years frustrate him, Michael, when he didn't have the health and the energy to be out doing as often as he wanted to do what he loved doing for the last 50 years?
He had a few years that he was kind of away from the scene there, 3 or 4 at one stage. Now, he had some problems with nodules and the thing and all of that. That's a regular thing with singers and all of that. And it took a bit of coaxing to get him back. And indeed, I know I had a bit to do with that, because I remember going up to Monaghan, and he was away from Oran that day. And Rose said, well, there's a field out there out between Castleblaney and Monaghan, Clontibret. And he was, this is a good lot of years ago now, and he was on an old Massey Ferguson, or one of the tractors, and he had 2 boys. It was a real vintage stuff altogether, and they were dropping spuds. And I got a photograph taken with an ordinary camera, one of them Polaroid cameras. Yes. And I did a story for the Sunday World at the time, and he said that of all the photographs that were ever taken of him, and he had an old cap on him and all of that, and in his rags, as they say, out in the tractor and everything, he said he never got such a reaction to a photograph. And shortly after that, at that time he'd been off for a while, and people were so delighted to see him again. And gradually, I'm not sure at that time if he thought he had it finished, but that's a good many years ago now, and sure, he came back and had some fantastic years. But I think the biggest change of all, Jerry, was the way that the public perception of Tom among a certain type of people changed. Right. Because, I mean, I would have known certainly that there was a terrible snobbery in certain quarters towards Big Tom and Irish country music. Huge. It was amazing, and it was ingrained in certain strands of society. And it took a lot to turn that around, but I'm so glad that it did happen. And I will say, in fairness now to the late and more recent times, and RTE in general in more recent times, because for years there, they just didn't want to know. Yeah. But in more recent times, there's a whole new appreciation, and Tom encapsulated that lovely quality that is ruralness of Ireland. It's something that the outreach to the Irish in England, when Tom went on a stage, not too many people had that ability to actually get through to you. Margot had it as well, I'll tell you, over the years.
Yeah, well, the piece done with Margot.
People can come up there, and they sing songs of home. They were the people that united people with the land, with whether it was Glenamaddy or Tubbercurry or wherever they were singing about.
He sang about them all.
He sang about them all, and Johnny Macaulay captured so much of that lovely thing that was Big Tom. They had a fantastic rapport, and Tom was very, very good. Like he always said about songs, he said, if you don't feel them, don't sing them.
Yeah, Sean Keynes is the same thing.
And there's too many people nowadays that sing country music, but they don't feel it, and it doesn't come across. Like Tom was the bearer of a huge tradition in this country, and I wouldn't say even the bearer. He was the man who put down that tradition. I think
he laid the mark.
He put down the foundations.
I want to ask you 2 more questions if I can before I let you go. And the first one is about his beloved Rose, who only passed away a few weeks ago. I think people can say what they want, but in many ways, Tom probably passed away of a broken heart, because they had a lifelong love and friendship.
Yeah, Rose is very special, and Rose is the one that I would nearly always ring actually in the house, and just had a great old friendship with Rose over the years, and she was such a lovely, beautiful person actually. And again, like Tom, no notions, none whatsoever. They were so country people, and all the time, anybody, whoever came up there, you never went to the front door. You just drove in the backyard or the street, as we'd say, and you just went in. Didn't even knock on the door, in, and the tea would be ready, and something stronger at times as well. And I do know that the last time I was visiting Rose was the Thursday between Christmas and the New Year there, and she made one of the finest hot whiskies I ever had in my life. I said to Rose, I said, I should get, however you did this, Rose, you should market it, because I said this one would be like Irish coffee, it will go around the world, She was a lovely, lovely lady, and she was so respected in her community and did so much for rehab and all of that, as Tom did for so many. There was a family there, the Ingrams, out in Lisnaskea in Fermanagh, that he went over to BBC Ulster Hugo's show, broadcast a few outdoor broadcasts from there. And there were a family that had a lot of, kind of health complications, put it that way. And they adored Tom. They had his photographs up on the wall. They had cushions made with his photographs on them and all of that. And he had a huge ability to connect to all these people. He loved me. He loved this part of the world. He had a great fondness for County Mayo because of the amount of Mayo people there were on the various cities in England, especially. Like, the immigration from this county was massive, and the west of Ireland in general, like, he loved it, and he was as heartbroken as we were in the last few years to lose by a point in All Ireland finals. Like, Rose always rang me going to a match and coming back from the match and all of that. And you know, Tom's fans are everywhere in this county. I might mention one,
Sure.
PJ Granahan. PJ is down there near Crossmalina, Keena, a man who has just followed Tom all through the years, has stayed in the house no more than I have on a few occasions above, but he was a very special friend of Tom's, and just an ordinary country lad, worked out Bellacorrick there, and Bellacorrick, and all of that. But you know, honestly, it's heartbreaking.
It's a tough day. Before I do let you on your way, because you're so busy today paying tribute and you have so much on your plate, tomorrow night, obviously, your own show. It goes without saying that you will do it in your own special way, and in fact it would be also fair to say that you more than likely have the last interview that Tom ever did recorded, and that will go out in your show again tomorrow night.
Yeah, it was indeed. That was only about 2 weeks ago, and it was Siobhan actually that was on to me, rang me one day, and she said, Daddy, as she always called him, she said, Daddy was saying that he would like to go on the show to thank all the people for the huge volume of cards and wishes and sympathising that they had in the aftermath of Rose's death. And surely we did the interview, and it was Tom's
last. Yeah.
Tom's final interview, as indeed his final performance was with Me Above in Salt Hill in November.
Yeah.
So
the bond was to the end. The bond was to the end. Michael, thank you for coming in. Thank you for your time.
Jerry.
And you'll have a huge listenership tomorrow night for your programme, which will go out here in Midwest between 10 and 1, because it's fair to say there'll be lots of commentators and lots of friends in Tom, but no one had a more special connection and friendship than you had with Tom over the years, and we do appreciate you coming in this morning.
Thanks, Jerry.
So now